Hello everybody, Ashindor here. It is time to play some Heroes of the Storm. So last time I talked, kind of an introduction about what the game is, how it works. Today we are actually going to dive in and I'm going to try to illustrate some of the basics of the game, talk a little bit about the different roles, and just show off kind of how an average map or average match will play out. So, last time I talked about goals and what I wanted to achieve, and I talked a little bit about the roles that you can play in the game. So there's warriors, there's assassins, there's supports, and then there's specialists. So, the two types that I want to talk about right now are warriors and then supports, because those are the two types that I set goals for. Now, warrior heroes are generally intended to be kind of in-their-face, frontline, hard-to-kill combatants. Either controlling the opponent's team through positioning and threatening their weaker players, or trying to shield and defend your weaker teammates from the enemy's aggression. So generally you can play these warriors either as sort of a true tank in the terms of very high health, very difficult to kill, or you can play more of a bruiser style where it's not so much that you're there to defend everybody as it is to be a very sustained, constant, hard to deal with threat. So as an example, right, you can look at somebody like Elite Tauren Chieftain as someone who is extremely difficult to kill and can maintain a very strong board presence, versus somebody like Artanis, who is really more of a threatening character who isn't great as a standalone tank necessarily, but really demands a lot of the enemy's focus and can make very interesting plays within fight. Then on the other end, you've got supports. And support's main job, as the name would imply, is to make the rest of the team function better. Now, in this game, that usually takes the form of some combination of healing, crowd control, and support abilities, whether that is defensive buffs or shields or whatever it might be. So that's not to say support characters can't put out respectable damage. Many of them can. For example, Karzim can pump out some pain, so can Rhaegar. But it does mean that in general their job within the team is to make everybody else healthy and effective. So this is the second faction that or second role that I have a goal for, and that is just to learn to play a couple of them in a way that I like and does not make me embarrassed, as opposed to the warriors, where I'm actually going to try to really become a very strong player. Now, this game, like many others, has quests. I have a quest to play two games as a Warcraft hero. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with warriors, and then we're going to select Warcraft. And as you can see, I have three choices to pick from. I have Anubarak, the Traitor King, giant spooky beetle spider. If anybody's played Warcraft 3 or World of Warcraft, you may be familiar with this gentleman. He is pretty cool. He's got some stuns. He's got some spell resistance. We have Elite Tauren Chieftain, who is obviously a Tauren rock god, which pretty cool, just start off with. This is the one that I think in general, in the current metagame, is generally viewed as the strongest of these three choices for most situations, and is also one that, as you can see from the levels, that I have the least experience with. So he makes a lot of sense as somebody to try to start with. And then the third choice is Muradin, who is actually, I think, the first warrior I really played heavily back when I first started playing this game, and is one of the easier warriors, in my opinion, to play because he's just very difficult to kill and has just a couple of abilities that are pretty straightforward. So I think for the purposes of this game, I'm actually going to go with Muradin, just because I'm pretty familiar with him, and I don't think it'll be a challenge really to keep up with him. Now, for this first game, I am going to go ahead and play against computer opponents, just so that I don't have to focus too much on the match while I'm trying to explain things, and hopefully I'll build as we go along and try to get a sense of what's going on. So, the other advantage of AI is you can leap right into the game instead of having to queue, which can take some time. Alright, so we are on Sky Temple. The way this map works is periodically throughout the match, these mystical temples are going to activate. We're going to get a little timer pop up to tell us when that's going to happen. The team that is able to successfully position people on that altar and sort of like a king of the hill sort of thing, while they're there, the altar will start shooting blasts of lasers at the opponent's buildings. And so the longer you're able to hold that point, the more laser blasts you get out of it. And that's one of the ways you can very effectively knock down your opponent's buildings. Why does that matter? Take a look at the minimap down here in the bottom right. You can see how there's 3 lanes on the map, and there are sort of symmetrical sets of defensive buildings leading towards the core. I need to actually move out and start playing the game. So the way that you win is by destroying the enemy's core, which in our case is this giant red, shiny cobra statue, which is pretty cool. Do they have any physical damage? Not really. I'm just going to take third win. So, what will ordinarily happen is these waves of NPCs... I'm just going to kill Li Ming. That was fun. Will start spawning along each of these lanes and moving towards the opponent's base. Now, barring intervention from a hero, those NPC weaves just sort of meet in the middle, bounce off each other, and not much happens. Come on, Valet. Yeah! There we go. Now the rest. Once the heroes enter the fray, it becomes a question of helping the lanes push towards the opposing side. She's gonna stun me there. That's fine. I'm just gonna wail on her a bit and then back off. So, as we're helping these lanes push, things are kind of going one way or the other. Sweet. And then I'm going to start moving north so we can take an altar. See, this temples activate in 3 seconds. You can see how on the mini-map these little serpent icons have shown. That means that we are entering the phase of the game where we are trying to claim altars. You can see how that just turned blue. That means we are now claiming this altar. Yeah, there we go. As long as we are the dominant force on an altar, it will start channeling lasers. As you claim it, it will spawn these NPC guardians that will try to drive you off. They're not really a threat, but if you are low on life, perhaps because the opposing team has made a nice little attempt to kill you, they can be quite difficult to deal with. That. I haven't played Mirrodin in a long time, so I'm honestly not 100% confident that I really remember what the best abilities to choose are. I'm going to talk more about talents here in a second. Anyway, so that's what we're doing with these temples, is trying to claim them long enough to channel laser energy and blow up the opposing side's defensive buildings so our NPC waves can push on through. Oh, Vala is so dead, and I'm not really in a position to contest that altar. You can see how that barrier is slowly ticking down. Ooh, Vala's getting a little bit feisty there. Kill Zool, I think. I can't though, and now Greymane's gonna murder me. Unfortunate! Dwarf Toss! Alright, so I am going to warp back using my Hearthstone, because it's all Warcraft, get it? Warp back to base into my little healing fountain area. Which is very convenient. Which means they got the majority of that altar, which is a problem, but we got most of the lower one. We are also one level higher, which is nice. So, that's sort of the shape of the game. We're trying to get NPC waves to push past defensive buildings, slowly breaking them through. And on this particular map, we can also try to claim altars in order to deal bonus damage. So once we've got all that straightened out, where do we go from there? You can see in yellow, these little icons on the minimap, those represent mercenary camps. Whenever you are able to claim a camp, like Vala is doing down here, basically what you're doing is you're fighting little groups of NPCs who just sort of hang around in these camps and don't do much of anything. Then there's a sort of seal that your team captures by standing on it. And if you are able to capture that seal, regardless of whether you were the team that actually killed them, so you can steal camps, they spawn for your side and start pushing forward along with your normal NPC wave, which is pretty cool. And that's one of the ways that you can really build up a big wave's worth of momentum, because those camps are much more powerful than ordinary units, which means that they are often able to tip the scales when it comes to pushing for one side or the other. These are forts. This first wave of defense has these big buildings called forts. The second wave of buildings is called keeps. And then finally you have the core. Once you have broken a keep, that second level of defense, additional units start spawning for your side that are more powerful and more difficult to deal with. Temples! So only one temple is activating this time. What the heck do I even want to... I feel like Ironforge Momentum might be good. Like I said, I really haven't played Mirrodin in a long time. But I am going to kill Tyrande, because Tyrande is very good. Anyway, Tyrande is the support. Yes. Okay, so Valera should be able to polish Zool off pretty easily, because she is a beast. Meanwhile, I will hang out down here. That was a horrible idea. Why did I do that? But it's okay. I'm gonna come over here and get some healing. Because I am Mirrodin, my passive actually heals me quite a bit. Yes! That'll work. Kill her. Alright, so we are getting the kills here, which is good. Now, you'll notice that actually killing the opponent doesn't actually do a whole lot, other than knocking them out of the game and giving us a nice little experience. Because there's no item shop, there's no gold in this game, killing an opponent, although it does give your team experience, is worthwhile primarily because of how it affects the enemy team's position on the map, in terms of them being able to contest map objectives. So, although randomly going around and killing them is always fun, it's always very enjoyable to just go around nuking people, it doesn't actually help all that much if that kill is not in a time and place that helps your team really advance the map. So, for example, I might be able to kill this Li Ming right here, but there's nothing that's about to spawn. There's no camps, really, that we're trying to take, so it wouldn't necessarily get us a whole lot. It's just not a priority for me. Instead, I'm going to move up top and try to clear this wave. Okay, so I've mentioned experience a few times now. The way you improve power, obviously, is by leveling up. Duh, it's a hero-based game. Nothing complicated there. You get experience basically anytime something cool dies near you. What that means is, unlike in other games of this type, you don't have to last hit minions to get a reward of any kind. You know, again, no gold involved. All you have to do is have one hero on your team nearby the interesting thing that's dying. Which means that you only need one hero on a lane ever to get the maximum amount of experience that the normal NPC waves can generate. You may want more, but you only need one. It also means that if you don't have a hero on those NPC waves, then as they are, oh no, Li Ming, you don't get away from me. As they move forward and die, you're losing experience. So you want to try to have somebody in each lane as often as you can. You also gain experience from killing, NPCs and mercenary camps and stuff like that. But long term, what you really want to focus on is making sure you soak as much experience as possible. If you hear somebody refer to soaking a lane, that's what they're referring to, is being present in a lane so that they can get the experience from the NPC deaths. Now, final thing about leveling up. As you level, you get talents, which are the primary way that you are able to improve your character's power. So talents in this game sort of replace the item shop and everything. That's what these things that I keep clicking on are talents. You get talents at certain levels, and so if you are able to get an experience edge over your opponent by out-leveling them, not only do your stats sort of improve across the board with each level. For example, each time you level up, your health gets a little bit higher, your mana pool gets a little bit bigger, your damage increases a little bit, but you can potentially get really game-changing abilities in advance of your opponent, which leaves them at a vulnerable position if you're able to force a fight. So, for example, I'm just going to clear this wave, and you can see the sort of 76 experience symbols popping up everywhere. That represents these guys getting our team experience. You gain experience as a team, not as an individual. I should pick one of these things. Rexar, Li Ming, Toronto, Zul, Greymane. I'm just gonna get healing static, I think. Well, that was fun. I didn't need to click my Q there. That's alright, though. So, remember everything I just said about, like, kills not being all that relevant? That probably wasn't all that relevant to the game. He's going to respawn. There's not really, like, any strategic objectives that he was successfully contesting. I could probably have let him just leave and focused on pushing, and it would have been fine. And in fact, if I was playing against humans and there was a chance that his teammate might have used that extension on my part to flank me, it probably would have been a smarter idea. However, now, because we've got waves pushing on at least two of the sides, we are going to take the map's boss. Some maps have boss NPCs that are super tough big bad guys at specific camps. And if you are able to kill them, just like any other mercenary camp, they can provide you a huge boost in pushing power because they have a lot of life and do a lot of damage to enemy structures. So, having taken that camp, he's going to start pushing along the bottom lane. That's important because while he's pushing, they're going to have to choose between trying to gun down the boss, and since most of my team is right there, that's going to be a problem, or coming down and trying to contest this altar. I'm going to just sit here, and because I'm the tank and frickin' unkillable, I'm just going to sit here. You guys can wail on me all I want. They don't really matter. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to get out of his cone of death there, but, you know, overall, I'm just going to chill. And all the meanwhile, this altar will be blasting down this tower, these buildings, at the same time there are bosses pushing. Oh, well. Kill him. I haven't even had to use my heroic ability yet. Obviously, I'm bragging about defeating NPCs like computer-controlled opponents. Not actually all that impressive, but I am enjoying it nonetheless. So, what do I want to pick here? I could get Stone Form.
My temple's power has been expended. You are stronger than I believe.
You know, I feel like imposing presence is probably the correct choice. Gonna do that. Greymane's gonna chase Vala, and then I'm gonna come over here and just murder Greymane. Seems pretty cool. I don't like Rexar during the fight. Like, 1 versus 2 is not a good situation, typically, to be in at any stage of the game, but definitely not at... Oh, I have a 4-level lead on them. It's probably fine. But, instead, I'm going to go over here and defend our fort, which is, like, super on the edge of death. And so by killing... Ah, no! I was too slow. But, anyway, by clearing this wave off, I'm going to keep them from pushing any further, and I'm going to get this lane moving back towards our opponent's side of things. So at this stage, obviously because I'm playing against the computer, this is a little one-sided, but generally what we would be doing in this stage is trying to knock down these other 2 keeps, or getting a really strong wave pushing along the bottom to try to challenge their core. Once you have lost at least 1 keep, your core is vulnerable. Up to that point, your core can't actually be attacked, so there's no like backdooring like you can sometimes see in these games. It's in fact, the core is straight up invulnerable until such time as 1 keep has been destroyed. So what we're going to do here, get this wave pushing. I'm going to move down here and just kind of hang out. My team is doing a really good job pushing from bot, and they may actually win here before anything else happens. But while they're doing that, since 2 of the opponents are down, it's going to be a 4v3 fight. Ooh, oh, dead. Okay. But I'm going to be doing my part by hanging out and slowly grinding away at their remaining buildings. Alright. Hello, I am a dwarf. I am very difficult to kill. Nice. Now we'll move up and take this thing. My avatar ability. Kill him, we're gonna kill Zool. Only Zool. Kill Li Ming. Just a whole lot of killing going on, really. My teammates will decide it's fine, just hang out there and kill them to death. It's not really a problem. Alright, important thing is we are now, oh, it's Belinda. I question your judgment. Also, that's what. Yeah, so this is why this is what I mean about the computers, right? Like, it's just kind of.
And
so we've now nuked their core down to slightly over half-life. They have no lanes pushing towards this. They have 2 of their heroes down. So we are probably going to be able to wrap this up here. Because I am going to... Oh, God. Yeah. We'll just smash those guys. We're just gonna... run, Valera. Run. Because for reasons that are not entirely clear, Medivh decided to just run away. Oh no! I was stunned.
I shall bring these mercenaries into our fold.
All I'm doing right here is smashing the minion wave so that they have to deal with our catapult there. Once you destroy the keep, catapults, siege minions start spawning, which is really nice because it means that they do quite a bit of damage to structures relative to other types of minions. And so once those are spawning, your wave will naturally push towards the enemy base unless they've also destroyed your keep. And if they are left ignored by the enemy team, they can do a lot of damage before you really wake up to what's happening. However, you can see how they've basically turtled here, and they're just playing very defensively, which is fine, makes a lot of sense from their perspective, but it also means that after we clear this camp, it's going to be very easy for us to wander over and take these last couple of altars, and basically end the game just through altar damage. Because we have 3 seconds left, I figured taking the camp made a lot of sense, and then we can wander over. And then, because they're in no position to contest the altars, basically. If they contest the altars, our catapults are going to move in and destroy their core. If they don't contest the altars, our altars are going to destroy their core. So they lose either way, really. And this is actually kind of an example of how if a team really gets rolled, like as we've done here, they end up basically a choice of ways to lose. Now, everything that you just saw was against computer opponents. Obviously a cheat on my part, and probably not a great example, but I hope that this was
MVP.
A decent explanation of the way the game functions, and hopefully illustrated at least some of the basics of Heroes, so that in future videos I can focus on what I'm trying to improve, how individual matchups are playing out, instead of trying to explain, like, here's how talents work. So, MVP, Mirrodin, the Dwarf, excellent. Yeah, that was a pretty easy match. Obviously, because again, computers. So, that's going to be it for me for now. Hopefully that was a good kind of basic coverage of how Heroes works. And I will be back with videos of actual gameplay against actual real humans in the near future. Until then, thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you have a great night.